Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast, where we dive deep into pressing health and fitness issues facing aging women. I'm Alli Kerr.
And I'm Shawna Kaminski. And together we'll bring candid conversations, expert advice, and personal stories that will inspire and empower you on your own wellness journey. Welcome to the Girls Talk Healthy Aging podcast. I'm Shawna Kaminski with my co-host, Alli Kerr. Thank you for joining us today. Today, we're going to be talking about some chronic health conditions and how to deal with them. And luckily or unluckily, we have a resident expert, Alli. And Alli, tell us a little bit about what's going on with you.
Yeah, so I'm one of the lucky ones that deals with this thing called an autoimmune disease. And there are lots of us. And so I know that this can hit home with a lot of people are dealing with very similar things, whether it be something like an autoimmune or someone might be battling some other kind of illness or some other kind of anything that can be something that that's prolonged over a period of time that really affects your life and can really shut you down from healthy aging or make it harder to age in a healthy way. And that is definitely one of the challenges that I deal with living with Crohn's disease. And I was diagnosed in 2005, 2006 is when I was actually diagnosed with that. And so I've been dealing with it, for many years now, and it doesn't go away. There's times when it's better and there's times when it's not. And those both present different challenges. And it's so kudos to anybody out there that is dealing with something similar to that. And as far as, I don't know that I certainly have all the answers, or I'm the healthiest person out there that is dealing with something like this. But, one of the things that you definitely, when you have hard times or you go through things, you learn more about yourself. You learn more about patience. You learn more about what your body can and can't do. Sometimes you're humbled that I know for someone active like me, I really enjoy being active. And so it's really frustrating and hard when my mind wants to do it and my body is on a totally different page and it's just not happening. That's probably one of the toughest parts for me, being an active person, is wanting to do and not being able physically to do so many times.
Can you take us back to that first diagnosis in terms of what was going on that led to that diagnosis?
Yeah, so I had lost a lot of weight. I was like skin and bones. I'm already a smaller person. And I mean, I had gone through different weight fluctuations and hormone challenges in my early 20s, and I gained weight. And then, and so I had actually gotten a little heavy. And then I started losing weight, and there was no really explanation as to why I was losing weight. My appetite was real odd, or I didn't have an appetite. I felt just nauseous, just really weak, really extremely tired. That's one of the other frustrating things for me about this disease is the fatigue, the extreme fatigue and tiredness that comes with it. And I would also have just swollen glands, randomly in my body, like my underarm would be really swollen, or my eye would swell up one day. I would get hundreds of sores in my mouth and in my throat. And so Crohn's in particular affects people in different ways. And they really had a hard time diagnosing me because I didn't have some of the typical Crohn's symptoms, even though I guess they are, but it's just not maybe the most typical. And so I went through a long process of getting a diagnosis. So when I got diagnosed, I was actually relieved. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, that's so horrible, you got this bad news. I was like, no, I was finally told I'm not crazy. Yes, there is something wrong with me. And now I can put a name to it. And so I was so relieved to finally, because I went to doctor and this doctor and that doctor and this doctor. And it just took years. I suffered for years without knowing what it was, but knowing that I was sick and that something was wrong. And I literally did go to doctors, and I felt like I was crazy, because they would say to me, you're so healthy, your blood work is so good, you're so active, you're so fit, you're so this. And I would say, no, something is wrong. This is not normal. I don't
Yeah.
feel, I don't feel good. So
Well, that's funny because it's probably a reflection of two things. Number one, the fact that you were and still are the picture of health and fitness. And so a lot of your healthy habits were carrying you a long way. And so from a doctor's perspective, it's like, hey, this woman, like, she's my ideal patient. She's fit, she's doing all the things. So
yeah,
on one hand, it's a reflection on your healthy habits, but then on the other hand, it's a reflection of the general population of, maybe that they aren't, the picture of health at all. So it's like our point of comparison is a bit skewed. So then what, once you found out about your diagnosis, of course, that would be a relief because it's like, okay, now we can move forward with like potential treatments. And like, so then what happened? How did you move ahead?
yeah. So once we had a name for it and we knew what it was, there are treatments. I'm so fortunate that I live in this time period.
Yeah.
Not, there are biologic medications that are available now that I was able to get on one of those. And luckily, I'm one of the Americans with health insurance that pays for that. So that was also another blessing because the medicine I take is very, very expensive. I go and get infusions. And so I started those back in like 2006 and started feeling better. Well, they've tried me on a couple of different medications, but once we got on the medication I'm on now, I've been off of it a couple of times. We've tried some other things, but it's kind of been the thing that has helped me the most. And everybody's different, but this is the one that has helped me the most. And this one, I felt better pretty quickly. I started seeing some light at the end of this tunnel, like, okay, this is there, I started gaining some weight back. I started getting an appetite back. I started getting rid of some of those other symptoms that I was having and just started feeling like, oh my gosh, there's help. This is going to be this. It was so much better once I started getting treatment, once I knew what it was.
And how often are those infusions?
Well, when you first start, you kind of have to load. You have to do a loading dose. So you get them like I want to say maybe like I got one and they got another one like a week or two later, and they got another one like 4 weeks later. And then eventually I was able to work to like every 6 weeks and then eventually to every 8 weeks. And there's been times when I've gone long periods without medication. And so like this past year. And then I had a flare up. And so now I'm back to like 8-week intervals right now.
Yeah. So when, excuse my ignorance, but when I think of Crohn's, I think of stomach, digestive issues.
Yeah.
So is it really, tell us a little bit about that, because you talked about mouth sores and
yeah, I know. Yeah.
But did it affect your digestion?
Yeah, well, there's definitely is affected by, I have certain things that I don't eat, and it's unfortunate because I like healthy eating, what's considered healthy eating, but a lot of the things that are considered healthy are not healthy for me, as far as my body responds very negatively to them. So I can't just go and eat greens and, salad, I can't eat things like that are considered healthy to other people. I've tried juicing them. I've tried like a lot of vegetables I can't eat. So it is affected. It is a gut, it definitely is the gastro for me. And it is affected and is aggravated more by things that I eat. I also find connections with my hormones. That has also been something that affects my disease state, is what's going on hormonally. And so, of course, stress can affect it. And then there's I don't know what affects it kind of state. There's these different buckets, and one of them is the heck I wish I knew bucket.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's probably the most frustrating one, because if hey, I've got a stressful event, you're kind of braced. Oh, I might have a flare up. But then just when something comes out of the blue, then it's, trying to connect dots, and
Yep.
trying to connect the dots is sometimes it's a trying experience. And so, and it'll be interesting for you to experience menopause as you age, because your menopausal experience might be a little bit different than, others, just because you're also dealing with this autoimmune disease.
Sure. A lot of women go into remission when they're pregnant. So it's definitely got some hormone.
Yes.
There's definitely some hormone effects there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it'll be a fun time, I'm sure.
Well, we know that menopause is fun anyway. And so for you, I know you're just really on the edge of your seat to be able to experience some of those.
I really am. Thank you for that reminder of what's ahead.
Well, so now what would you say to someone that is maybe thinking, oh, maybe this is something that could be affecting me? Like, so obviously it's going to be like seek out medical attention.
Sure.
But as with many health issues, lifestyle and habits probably have really helped you. So what advice would you give just as a general rule to people?
Yeah, finding the right doctor, because I had to go to several to get an answer, and know that you're not crazy. If you know something is wrong with your body, that you're not crazy, and you just have to be persistent. And I will tell you, for me, I would go through times when I would just be hopeless and just think, nobody, I'm getting no answers. And honestly, for me, it was that will to do things, that want to do things, that pushed me to go to the next doctor, and then go to the next doctor, and just not giving up. Because for me, actually, one of the reasons I used to compete in fitness competitions, and the whole reason that I got into that was because I was so tired. I was so fatigued. I did not feel like exercising. I did not feel like doing anything. And I needed something,
A date.
for mentally, I needed something that would push me to do the things that in my mind I wanted to do, but my body did not feel like doing.
Really?
So I got into fitness competing. So then I would have a deadline, a date, something that I had to work towards. And that, when I got into that, I was so sick. Initially I wasn't as sick when I first got into it. My second competition, I won my pro card, but then I went and competed as a pro. In my first pro competition, I was so sick. I was skin and bones. I looked horrible, but I was like, I'm doing it because I want to see what I've got to do to compete with these gals. What have I got to get to, physique wise, health wise, where do I have to be? And so I went and did that pro show. And I mean, I was like bottom of the barrel, bottom of the list as far as how I did, but I didn't care. I got up there, walked across the stage, did my thing. And then I was like, okay, it just pushed me to go to that next doctor, to keep going and to figure out, like, because then I was like, I love this. I know I can be good at this. I want to do this. And I've got to find a way to overcome what's going on with me physically. So that was just that extra push to keep going to doctors and getting answers. So you got to get answers. That's the first thing. You got to get answers. When something's not right, you just got to keep going and find something that will give you some kind of hope and some kind of push to keep going, even when you don't physically feel like it.
Yeah. I can't imagine getting ready for a fitness competition and dealing with the health issues that you were, because back in, it was the late 80s, early 90s, before like the fitness competitions that you're doing were kind of born. I did bodybuilding competitions, and to get to that level of leanness, the dieting is extreme. And so you feel like a bag of soup, barely able to get off the couch anyway. So it's interesting that you even knew that something was wrong with you, because like half the time getting ready for bodybuilding competitions, I did it between 86 and 90, I think, and 91 or something, on and off. You just are lacking. You look like you're at the pinnacle of health, but that level of leanness is not healthy close to that competition. I liked it because it kind of
pushes you mentally.
It mentally, and then I learned so much about nutrition and my body at the time. But also, like, I I would have thought, oh gosh, like I wouldn't have known. Is this just diet related? Is this something physically related? Some kind of disease? Like, that's so interesting.
Well, I mean, I was already sick. So I was, and I knew something was wrong. I went and watched a competition before I did the first one, and I wasn't as sick, but I was sick then. And then I got my diagnosis. I want to say I may have even had my diagnosis by the first pro show, because I did a couple of shows by then, and knew what was going on, but just had not gotten to a place that I was, had gotten enough treatment in me. I don't remember if I was before or after treatment. But what I will say is that, so yeah, I knew that so I didn't even have to really diet, because I mean, there was nothing to diet. I was just physically just wasting away because of my problems. So for me, here's what's crazy is once I did start getting treatment, of course, first of all, and then once I started competing and I started working with a nutritionist, actually competing helped me in so many ways. I tell people it helped save my life, because it pushed me, one, to get that diagnosis and to keep going that route and going to doctors. And two, working with that nutritionist helped me so much to change some of the eating habits. I mean, I ate, in college, I was eating cereal and frozen pizza. That's all I lived on. That was it. That was my diet. And so actually, starting to track my food and eat real food. And, it was actually something that really has helped me in this process.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, that we kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but that was very interesting for me to understand your, kind of how that progressed. And then my guess is that you since put on weight, but this is healthy weight, but that's also a mind mess. How did you deal with that? Like, anytime women see the number on the scale goes up, it's, rationally you might have known it's healthy, but were you panicking?
No, I was panicking when I got on the scale and it was below 100 pounds. That's when I was panicking, because that was not normal, because I knew what was normal for me, normal weight wise. I knew what a healthy weight for me was, because I had been active and healthy. And so I didn't have any kind of like I know where my healthy-ish weight range is. And so it was very disturbing for me to look at pictures of myself just being like bones, skin and bones, or when I stepped on the scale and I was not getting ready for a competition and I was below 100 pounds. And that was from just being, and also how I felt. I mean, there's nothing like that there's a difference in losing a few pounds on the scale and being so depleted and your body being so sick and so weak. And that's a whole different, and that is one of my frustrations with ladies, I guess, now with weight, when they get so obsessed with that number on the scale, and just my frustration that so many of us gals, we don't understand what that weight means. And that you might be people, when you diet, we are going into a place of depletion and deprivation, and that can have a negative effect on our body and what we can do, and our strength and our power and how we feel and our metabolism. And so, for me, I want to be at what is considered what feels normal for me. So that wasn't I think some people maybe, especially from the fitness competition world, maybe get tricked out with, I got down to this and now I've gained weight and maybe that, but that was not, and I also attribute that to having a good, because I went to school for exercise science. This is like my life's work. This is what I went to college for. Like, I started weight training when I was in high school. So like, I had a different maybe mindset and perspective of some of those things. Always, maybe, from a whole bigger span.
Well, I think what I want to point out is exactly what you're saying, is that weight loss is not the be all end all.
No.
Actually, body composition, bone density, having muscle on your frame, being functional, being able to move, having energy, and the number on the scale is
feeling strong, being able to do things. When I'm sick and I'm in a flare, and I'm just coming out of a flare up that has been about 8 months now, and I'm still not back to normal right now. So I still can't do things that I could do before this flare. And that's so frustrating for me.
Yeah.
And I was so excited to see my muscles coming back, like, because they just go to blah. And I feel so blah. And it is, it is such a big deal that women, we just don't get how much doing a lot of dieting and depriving, how much that takes away. That number on the scale may go down if you're doing those things, but if you're not doing it the healthy, balanced way, you're losing the good stuff. When that weight's going down, you're losing the good stuff. That is your vitality, that is your energy, that is your strength, that is your power to be the superwoman that we want all these gals to be.
And it's not, yes, I agree. It's the vitality, the mental strength, all that kind of things.
Yeah.
You're built to live when you're on a severely severe caloric restriction, but also the things that you don't see that you're losing, like your bone density.
Oh yeah, but I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel. I mean, it's since I can feel my muscle. Like I can tell I can tell like I cannot physically I do not have the strength to do things, simple things, very simple things that I just physically cannot do. Like, I mean, literally, like when I'm in a bad flare up, it is a chore to get up and walk from here to across the room, like much less do a push up or there's no doing pull-ups. There's no doing ninja stuff. There's none of that. Like that all gets stripped away. And so it's so important to keep the good weight. So important.
So now that you've had a flare up and you're kind of coming back, will you be getting back to all the ninja stuff, all the, all the fun stuff, the silks, all the things that you're really passionate about? You just build back up to that again?
I have still not gotten back to my silks yet, and I still have not really gotten back to the ninja stuff. I'm actually right now, I'm kind of at what I call I'm at pickleball level. So pickleball level is like I can go out and play pickleball, and I'm actually excited. I've been able to do a couple of tournaments and be able to play multiple games in one day and have the energy and the stamina. So that's a huge win for me right now. And what has happened is these flare-ups, like when you deal with anybody that's dealing with chronic illness can understand, there are times like, and you've gone through, and I know we're going to talk about this in another episode, you've gone through a surgery. It's like going through recovery from a surgery over and over and over again. And it takes, like I said, this is 8 months so far, probably in the making. I mean, I could have recovered from a joint surgery, pretty well.
Oh my goodness.
And so it's a whole different, and it's that doing that, and it's that happens over and over again. And so it definitely gives you a different perspective on, recovery and what the getting into the silks and getting into the ninja. Those are things a lot of times that I get into as I'm coming out of a flare. I find something that motivates me, that I want to do and want to learn, that helps me to push through, because I'm always needing that something to, like, for me, this is me, but for me, a lot of times, like the fitness competition, I use those things and find those things that help me get over those humps to get through that. And so it may be silks again, or it may be that I pick up something different, for right now. Like I said, right now it's pickleball because it's something I can do. I couldn't even do that well a few months ago, so that is progress. I especially couldn't have done, I did do one tournament that was a hot mess just because I just physically was so in such bad shape. I should have never done it. But, again, that's where my mind and my body battle, and people dealing with chronic, any kind of illness, you understand this, your mind wants to do something and your body is just not there. And sometimes you just push yourself to do it anyway. And sometimes I do that. So I'm hoping, I've been watching videos of me doing my silks, and it's, I'm kind of getting that itch again to start testing that out again to see where I'm at. But it's also it's also frustrating because, it's like starting over, I was watching a video and I was like, I don't even remember how to climb the silks. Like, I don't even remember how to do that. Yeah. And so it's also disheartening when you get to a certain level and then you have to start over.
And then just having to be willing to be a beginner again. So humbling, but so important. And, you and others that are facing a chronic disease have to do that over and over again. But like the regular Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Smith out there, which I would say that I am, because I haven't had a chronic disease that I have had to deal with. But lots of us have to start over again because we just stopped because of life circumstances. Or so I think the big message, whether you're dealing with a chronic disease, it's more of a challenge, is to not give up on yourself and find something that you love.
Yeah.
And if you love something before, you don't have to go back to that if you don't feel passion for it.
Right.
You can always
It's a journey.
yeah. And you can always find something else, but it is a matter of finding something. And as much as, as much as I don't want to be entirely prescriptive in terms of like, you must do this, I think as we age, I still am, and I think you could agree, a big advocate of twice a week minimum of 20 minutes minimum strength training. And I'm sure that that's something, is that, I shouldn't assume, but is that something that you return to every time?
It doesn't necessarily, may not look like strength training. I mean, aerial acrobatic silks is strength training. Let me guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yes. So it might not
training of, it might look differently.
Yes, but yes.
It's some kind of strength, some kind of activity that's developing muscle. So
yeah, like getting into body weight, the ninja and the aerial acrobatics is body weight. And I think that there was something mentally that was something that I just started appreciating more, maybe going through struggles with my body, of being able to handle and hold my own body. And so that's definitely something. And I train clients, so I'm, all day demonstrating exercises. And then for myself, it's finding a way that works for me. And the body weight stuff and the aerial stuff and the ninja stuff, that is one of my ways of getting in that strength training that's fun to me and very challenging. And I have to work on the strength training side too, to be able to do
those things.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's not kid ourselves. I mean,
how many
people can actually do a pull-up? Like, don't tell me that's not strength training. And then put those skills into action with a lot of the ninja skills that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're definitely
all strength.
Yeah. So like I said,
and stamina, a lot of stamina too.
Yeah. So like I said, I don't want to be entirely prescriptive, but I do want to highlight that as
I'm absolutely doing that.
That some kind of strength training, whether you have an illness, whether you've just been on the couch out of choice or circumstance, that we, if we want to be healthy, that's something that we need to address. So, and, kudos to you, Alli, because from the outside, I mean, I've known you for years and years, and I never knew this about you.
I know.
And so, it's not that you necessarily have been keeping it on the down low, but you have you have prioritized your health such that, you're taking care of the habits. You're doing the things that are within your control to control those flare-ups. And as you get to know your body, you're probably doing a better job of that. Oh, I learned this is going to cause a flare-up. Okay. Not great lessons, but good to know.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know, or a lot of people have known me and don't know that I even have Crohn's. And I told you before when we were talking about this, it's actually was something I'm more comfortable about talking about now, but it's actually something that I think I intentionally, people don't know. A lot of people didn't know or don't know because I intentionally, when I'm working, I put on my best face. I give people my best. And I always joke that everybody else gets especially my clients, they get my best and my husband gets the rest, because it's so true. If you ask him, he's like, oh yeah, she's got Crohn's and she's got all kind of issues. But that's not what you put out there especially when you're in a health and fitness field. You're putting out your best. And in the social media world, we put out our best, and that is what I want to highlight. I enjoy showing that, hey, I'm so excited. I don't take it for granted when I can learn a new ninja skill. I'm going to highlight that, because that was that's a big deal to me. And
So what would be your best piece of advice that you could offer someone that's dealing with a chronic illness? Because there's many.
You're not alone. You're not alone I think is is a big one. Knowing that, and it's a mental and a physical battle. And so, doing all the things that you can do, especially when you're having a tough time, getting help as soon as possible, working through the health system to get the help that you need as quickly as you can, is super important. Getting that diagnosis is super important if something's not right. Yeah. And then getting the treatment that you need, and taking time for self-care, when you're going through that, and just give yourself some, I have a great support system. Give yourself some grace.
Yeah.
Rest. Get lots of, requires a lot of rest, unfortunately, but yeah.
I would say giving yourself grace, and like not being so hard on yourself, to give yourself the rest, and surrounding yourself with the supportive people. And I think also finding something to look forward to,
that's big for me.
When you're on the couch feeling like,
I'm scrolling, looking, what am I going to get into next? What is going to be my next challenge when I'm feeling better?
And I think that this goes, for those that suffer from a chronic illness, and also for those of us that maybe just fell off the health wagon. And you're like, okay, well, what can I do? So it's similar, find some kind of support, find something that you're excited about, do some strength training, that includes some strength training as well. So let's wrap it up. Alli, what is your wish for our listeners today?
My wish for you is you have many, many, many more good days than rough, tough days, especially if you're dealing with any kind of challenges, and just hang in there. You got this.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. And if you are enjoying the Girls Talk Healthy Aging, please, give us a like, subscribe, share it with your girlfriends. And we're really happy that you're here, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Thanks for listening. You'll find me, Alli, on Instagram at Alli Kerr Fitness.
And you'll find me, Shawna, on Instagram at Shawna Kaminski. Feel free to pop us a DM with questions and/or feedback.
Until next time, be healthy and be happy.